what pitching matchup are they winning?
I agree with it. I have a buddy of mine that happens to be my girlfriend's cousin's boyfriend that lives in Atlanta. He's a Braves fan, and he had come up here a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me, I was like, "Oh, who do you guys have in the playoffs?" He looks at me and he goes, "You guys." He is so not confident about any situation that he has in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I don't even know their top three is what Charlie Morton.
Yeah, they could steal one. But
no, they did. Definitely, they could steal. I could definitely see that. But like,
you get them at home, game. What would I guess?
1 and 2,
3. I could see them maybe taking, and then
you get 1 and 2 at home. I would be surprised if we lost one game at home. Just
100%.
Yeah.
But based on that, I think if we get the Giants, you see them in the World Series this year.
If the Brewers or the Giants.
The Brewers. If we were to get the Giants in the NLCS, I think you could see the Brewers in the World Series this year.
100%.
I like their chances against the Giants. I know I've talked to a lot of people and they want to see the Dodgers in the NLCS.
No.
Because they want revenge. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great until we actually have to play them.
That's not ideal. No.
That's great. You face the most expensive team in baseball. That's awesome.
Right. That can just get whatever they want whenever they want.
Yeah, that's great. Let's pit that is the only lineup I think that would I say the Brewers would have a chance if they had to play the Dodgers. Yeah, I could see us pushing it 6 games, but
I'd say they'd have a better chance of beating the Dodgers this year than they did 2 years ago.
100, yeah, but I still think that lineup might just overmatch.
Oh yeah, I mean
they might overmatch everyone.
You match up each position. Even Yelich doesn't outshine anybody on that lineup because of his slug, his struggling this year. Adames and Narvaez have been very hot. Escobar's came in and contributed, not to the level I thought he would. I like the trade; he contributes, but not to the level I thought he would. I do like having a two-headed catching core back there.
Yep, Pena's been good this year.
Pena's been great. That pitching staff is obviously incredible. And it's basically you get it to the 8th inning, and whether or not Devin Williams comes out or Hader pitches 2 straight innings, I think if you can get into the 8th inning with a lead, I don't like saying this because Hader has disappointed me plenty of times, but I think it's pretty much a lock after 8 innings.
I agree. Yeah, no, the one thing I want to happen actually, you get that hot Cardinals team in the wild card, and they're going to play either the Giants or the Dodgers. I would not mind them playing the Dodgers. If the Cardinals taking them out really, really hot, you throw like a Wainwright against, I don't know, Scherzer.
Ooh, that's a good question. Scherzer or Kershaw?
Yeah, you don't know. I think they got so many people. I would say for a wild card, I think they would go Buehler.
Mm-hmm.
Buehler's been the guy
that way, yeah, because he could take a break, and then you have Scherzer and Kershaw that can start game 1 and 2 in the
correct. But I would love. I hate the Cardinals, but I would not have an issue with them playing a 1-game playoff with the Dodgers and maybe stealing it. I mean,
if they can do that, the Brewers are my favorites then, because
I'm with you.
Yeah, as good as the Giants look on paper, I'm not buying it. They've had a 5-year hiatus from the playoffs, and they look good. It's a ton of talent slapped together, but all it takes is one game to be knocked, or one series to be knocked out, since they're going to grab the division, and I think that could happen.
And the last time the Brewers played the Giants, I believe it was a 4-game series, and the Brewers took 3 out of 4, and the 4th one was a close game.
And they look good.
In San Francisco. That's the thing, is the Brewers are either the favorites coming out of the National League to me, or the dark horse coming out of the National League to me. And I don't mean to bring up a topic that we're going to talk about later, but that's how I feel about them, because I feel like if we have to face the Dodgers in the NLCS, we're a dark horse. We're no longer favorites.
Correct, yeah.
But then if we get the Giants, we're kind of the favorites. And I've never seen the Brewers in a World Series in my lifetime. It'd be amazing to see it. 2 years, the same year I get to see the Bucks in a championship and win one.
Milwaukee's year.
Yeah, absolutely. They can do what LA did 2 years ago or last year.
Yeah, it happens in cities like that sometimes.
I want to say that the NL side of the bracket is stronger than the AL side of the bracket.
Oh, 100%.
Okay. I felt like it's a little bit of a hot take because you have teams like the big name teams, the Red Sox. The
It's all.
Yankees,
I would say that's always
Houston.
a hot take because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, in the last few years, all these teams that are on the AL side are big name teams, teams that are consistently in the playoffs or have the talent.
Mm-hmm.
So the Yankees, though, are a team that I think we could beat 100%.
I don't. For me, there's
I
absolutely no shot the Yankees get that far.
I think the Yankees
No
are
shot.
the Giants of the AL. There's so much talent slapped together there, but they never can get it going to the point where it's consistent enough.
Yeah, they're not firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
No.
And
the only person hurting.
Yes. And the only person that's been consistent there has been Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah.
And he's been just lighting it up over there.
Glad
I hate the Cubs, but that's,
it hurts. Yeah.
Doesn't bother me anymore.
No, not at all.
Yeah. It's fine now. I think people, though, do discredit the Giants a little bit. I would think if the Dodgers and Giants are playing, I think the Giants have the best chance to beat the Dodgers. They see them all year. They've been a problem for them all year for the most part. It's one of those rivalries that it could go either way. And I think almost the talent and the money that the Dodgers have compared to the Giants, it doesn't even matter in that type of rivalry in a series. Right. So, I mean, I think the Giants have the best chance against the Dodgers, I would say, too.
All right, so that's the playoffs. This is kind of an abrupt shift, but
we want to do the AL side?
Yeah, let's do the AL side. Who do you think is going to come out of there?
I think me and Keith both agree on this.
I've
seen your tweet. I've seen your tweets. I've seen your tweets.
I'll explain, but go for it.
I like the White Sox coming out of there. And there's several reasons. I'm not a believer in the Red Sox. I'm not a believer in the Yankees. Tampa Bay, I didn't even know they were the number one seed on that side. I thought it was the Red Sox. So
they're so under the radar. They always have been.
I mean, that's just kind of like us, but they're better as far as normally. And Houston's Houston. I feel like no matter where they go in the playoffs, the constant hazing of cheating, it's just going to burden them more, that it's not going to help them. So again, the talent on that side compared to the talent on the National League side, it's hard not to look at the White Sox and go, that's my favorite. And I would love to put it down that it's going to be the Brewers and White Sox, but it all depends on what happens with the Dodgers and Giants, or St. Louis and the Giants. Yeah, as of right now.
AL for me, okay, the tweets, the blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I bet on the White Sox is not a long shot, but a decent long shot to win the World Series. I always bet an AL team. It never works, but they're actually good. But my favorites for now, I would go with Tampa Bay, because people sleep on Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay, for some reason, they have one of the best lineups that no one talks about. They hit the ball every single night. And it does not matter who's pitching. They play in the Trop. It's a stupid place to play baseball, and they win there all the time. It's actually crazy. But the White Sox, I think the White Sox can obviously match up with anyone. They've struggled all second half. They've been average all second half. Their division sucks. They've coasted all the way to the playoffs. They have the pitching like the Brewers, I would say. Lance Lynn, you got a Giolito and Rodon, but he's hurt. So it's a toss-up, I think. The best series in the playoffs, I think, ALDS, Houston, and the White Sox.
Oh, definitely.
The winner of that could easily take out one of the other teams, easily. And that other division series is going to be either one of those ALS teams, because I think right now it's the Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays fighting for the 2 wild cards.
Yep.
Yeah. So the winner of that is going to end up playing Tampa Bay. And I like Tampa Bay over all those teams. So I do. I really do.
Could you imagine a Willy Adames return?
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Down there in the World Series.
Once I think about it, though, you think about a Tampa Bay Rays, Milwaukee Brewers World Series, that just sounds unrealistic.
Well, it does. But then again, so did a Phoenix Suns and Milwaukee Bucks championship.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This could be the year for Milwaukee.
I just
And
find it where in the American League, those three teams, the Blue Jays, Red Sox, and the Yankees are going to beat up on each other in this last week or so. And then whoever comes out of the wild card, I think Tampa Bay just runs
slaughters
through
them.
them.
Yep.
I really do. I think they run through them.
I
And then
think
it comes
the
down.
only team I would be scared of with Tampa Bay would be the Red Sox. The Red Sox seem to have this little magic that happens whenever they hit the postseason.
It's
So
true.
that would be the team that, like, the Rays, it could go 6-7 games.
I've just seen like the Rays all year have beat up on the big teams, the Red Sox and the Yankees. They've just owned them. I don't know how they do it, but they've just owned them. And they're coming off a World Series appearance last year, so
That is fair. That is fair.
I would take them. They have, well, other than Glass now, he's hurt. I don't know how they managed to get through without him, but I would take them. It's a revenge year for them too, I would say.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm rooting for the White Sox.
I was going to say it. Same thing pretty much for me. I think the White Sox are, I don't want to call them a dark horse because they're being talked about a lot, but when you look at the fact that they do have such a weak division this year and they've pretty much been able to do whatever they want, whenever they want, they've had it locked down, not mathematically, but realistically for a while.
It's been over since the All-Star break.
Yeah, it pretty much, I mean, we knew it coming out of the All-Star break, the halfway point. I think they can go all the way, to be honest with you, but Tampa Bay would be the biggest barrier just because they've been able to handle two of the bigger markets in the league that are constantly pushing them down to second or third in the division. Yeah. And they've been routing them. I mean, Boston's on a 7-game run right now, so I could see them kind of doing that theory we were talking about with the Cardinals, who have won 12, 13 straight, where the playoffs are about who's hot at the right time. So I could see that happening, but if everyone's playing the way they've been playing this year, it's the White Sox or the Rays for me too, to be honest.
The only thing with the White Sox, I say they've been coasting into the playoffs, and Tampa Bay's been having to win. It just depends on who gets hot. So, that's my take. Give me the Rays.
Yeah, for sure.
Sadly.
So, and with that, let's shift over to some Cy Young candidates, AL and NL. We were talking about the AL, so we can stay on that side. I'll let one of you guys go first. Who do you have taking it at this point right now? I mean, there's like a week and a half left, roughly. Who do you have taking the AL side?
Who do we have as the?
I got my NL pick. I can do that.
Okay, we can start NL.
Let's do NL. It's either Walker Buehler right now or Corbin Burns in my eyes for the. I'm taking Burns. I think Burns is. I mean, you just saw the combined no-hitter. He could have had the no-hitter. He's been the dominant force, I think, in the Brewers staff. And I think his records that he did this year without, what was it, the walks thing, without a walk. And
he had so many strikeouts without
I think it was like 40-something off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing for him. And Burns is doing this with, look at the lineup the Dodgers have compared to the lineup the Brewers have. Our lineup's fine, but you can't compare it to what the Dodgers have. He gets the run support. Burns always doesn't get the run support. So, I mean, even with the records different, he is the guy who's striking more guys out. He's not walking guys the more. He's a big game pitcher for me.
As much as I'd love to pick Corbin Burns, you know how this goes. It's a big market name. It's going to go to Walker Buehler, bigger market team. That's what's more interesting. I want Burns, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. The records he set, I was very upset when they pulled him during that no-hitter. Said there was no reasoning to it, but hey, whatever. I'm not a manager. The guy does not get any run support. He's got to create his own issues, and he's probably one of the better pitcher hitters right now.
Yeah,
as far as on the Brewers team. So I mean, he's had to create his own offense on the offensive side.
The big issue about that too is they could throw Max Scherzer in there too.
Yeah, just because it's just that big market team, and it's frustrating because you're going to see almost 3 Cy Young candidates on the Brewers. 2 of them that aren't getting enough. Initially, Woodruff I thought was going to run away with it, but then Burns had his whole thing. But he was getting the issue where he would go his 6-7 innings, and then they would bring in somebody, and he'd give up 7 runs, and Burns' gem all of a sudden looks like it was on him.
Yeah.
So I want to say Burns as much as I want to, but I have a feeling it's going to be Walker Buehler.
I was going with Max Scherzer a couple of weeks ago, and then I keep remembering that voter fatigue is a huge thing. But he is 7-0 since going on the Dodgers, and he's had to deal with that Padres team and the Giants as well. And yeah, he's undefeated since going on there. I'm looking at a what's that?
The Padres team is a joke.
Yeah,
they've fallen apart.
They have, but I mean, as a third team in the division, I'll call them relatively strong. I mean, you put them up against their expectations, they're kind of shit. But nonetheless, his production's been good. I mean, if we're going off of like sheer impact on the team, which I'm not sure how much of that builds into the criteria of the Cy Young, I would give it a runaway to Burns, because you take him out of that lineup, I think they lose at least roughly a dozen wins. It depends on who goes in there, obviously, but you put an average pitcher in there and they lose 6-7 wins. You take Max Scherzer or even Walker Buehler, one of the two, out of that Dodgers lineup, and I can't say their record changes just because of how deep they are, with them being a big market team. So I kind of have to go parallel with you guys. I think Burns deserves it more, but it's probably going to be Buehler. If it should be Scherzer if it's between those two and voter fatigue doesn't exist, but it does. So that's kind of my take on that.
It's fair. AL is going to probably be, well, since I thought it would be Garrett Cole. I was running with Garrett Cole the whole year, but now he's injured at the end of the year, and I think it just depends on, because Robbie Ray strikes everybody out. Every time I see him, he strikes literally everybody out. But I don't think he's that good. I think he's on some ridiculous run. But it'll be Robbie Ray if the Blue Jays can get into the playoffs.
If they don't?
If they don't, I think it'll probably go to Garrett Cole if he can get out there in the last week. I think it's really close.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Depends on who makes the playoffs. Are the Yankees and Blue Jays, in my eyes.
Yeah, I feel like it's really tough to give an award to a team that doesn't get in. So I could see that. I wanted Liam Hendricks for a while, but I mean, the whole closer thing is such a hard argument because you do have that role, and he hasn't been super sharp as of late. I think he's still 34 for 40. Jansen's up there too, but that's the NL side. I can't really give it to him. I would go Cole just off the sheer likelihood that I think the Yankees are going to get in over the Blue Jays, but we'll kind of have to see what happens over the course of the next week and a half. But if the season ends today, I'd probably have to give it to Cole.
I did look up a predictor, who they predicted would win the Cy Young this year. The AL top three were Liam Hendricks, Raziel Iglesias, and Garrett Cole.
Okay.
The NL
I didn't even have Ray in there.
Right. Julio Urias, Max Scherzer, and Walker Buehler are the top three for the NL. The first Brewer, you had to take a guess at the first Brewer who happens to be next to be a part of the
probably Freddie Peralta for some reason.
Nope.
No.
Is it Woodruff?
Hader. They predicted Hader to be number 4 in the Cy Young voting. And Woodruff, North, Peralta are in this list. Burns rounds it out at number 10. Which now I basically think your top 3, in my opinion, my opinion would probably be Walker Buehler, Corbin Burns, and Max Scherzer are your top 3 in the NL right now.
Yep. AL, I would do Robbie Ray, Garrett Cole, and Lance Lynn, but Lance Lynn won't be in it because he was on IL for a while too. But he was
all three of those
in the beginning.
All three of those are in their top 10 predictors.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean
that's fair.
I really hope that we can pull it off, but like you said when we were talking about the AL, I wanted to bring this up when you brought up that not making the playoffs. This goes back to when the Dodgers were trying to get Matt Kemp at MVP, and Ryan Braun was there. And what was the main reasoning why Ryan Braun won the MVP that year? Brewers made the playoff, the Dodgers did not.
Yep. Yeah.
And then Dodgers fans felt robbed because, Braun got his steroids thing, but we don't talk about that.
Oh, yeah, that was fuel to the fire right there. I've never seen so many angry fans before.
Don't count. Screw them.
Yeah.
All
right, so there's our Cy Young. What about MVP now? I feel like the AL. Let's start with the AL.
World. Shohei.
I'd agree.
Otani.
I'd agree with him. If you had anybody else to pick, who else would you pick?
In the AL, I'd go Guerrero.
Vladdy.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's where I'd go.
The craziest thing is, I think of it, Otani's going to win it, but Vlad Guerrero's almost hitting for the Triple Crown this year.
Yep.
and he's going to lose by probably like a country mile to Ohtani. Now, my thought process is like, okay, Ohtani pitches and he hits. If he hits anywhere decent and pitches like 3 ERA every year for the rest of it, like, does he just automatically
It's
win?
his. Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how could you could have, like, if you think of it like you're giving him the MVP because he pitches and hits so well, if he hits halfway decent and pitches halfway decent every year, are you just going to be handing it to him every year just because of it? That's a good talk in the future, but this year it's easy. But it's just
That's a good point. Is he going to like create his own sense of voter fatigue, or just like, oh, it's the Ohtani method? I mean, he just does it all, so we expect him to do good on both sides.
Like in the NBA, when Giannis, it's like, well, we had to move on. Like
he has to beat himself.
He had to do something different almost, and it's like, are they going to end up doing that with Ohtani? Because if he pitches, he stays healthy, he's going to win every year.
It's his every year, yeah. As long as he has like I would even say sub 4 ERA is somewhat respectable, and then. I mean, mid to low threes, like where he is now. And then he hits a good, 25, 30 home runs. He doesn't have to do what he did this year.
Yeah, he hits 30 home runs instead of 45. And I don't know who's taking it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it sucks for Guerrero because usually when you're competing for the Triple Crown, you've got to at least have a fighting chance. But Ohtani is the modern day Babe Ruth. I mean, it's
That's
not
how
even.
Ryan Braun won it back. Facing Triple Crown, he got the MVP. Now it's like, oh, well, it sucks to be you.
Yeah, right. It does suck to be. You better do it next year when they get tired of Ohtani. Otherwise, yeah, you're never going to get one of those.
It take him a few years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I feel like Ohtani is pretty much a runaway just because of the ways, changing the game, doing everything on both sides, comparable to a little league hitter or a player, and that he can just do everything. In the NL, though, who do you guys have?
I'm going to say Fernando Tatis. I want to see Willy Adames because he's been the MVP of the league and he's advanced that team to a certain point they should be. But how could you give it to Fernando Tatis, who's not going to make the playoffs, possibly, instead of a guy that's going to make the playoffs? If it's not him, I mean, they have Bryce Harper on here, Max Muncy, Buster Posey, Trey Turner, and Joey Votto. There's no dark horse. Those are their candidates right now. And I know a couple weeks back, Adames was part of the talks of MVP. But obviously, I don't think that's going to happen just because it's not as flashy as the numbers aren't as flashy as what everyone else has been doing.
No.
So I think this is going to be one of those cases where Tatis is going to get the MVP without making the playoffs.
I'd love for Tatis to win it because I bet on him early in the season to win it, but I don't think he's going to win it because of the absolute tank job by the Padres at the end. I don't think there's a really good option in the NL, to be honest. I think Bryce Harper is going to win it. That's my opinion. I'll take Bryce.
That's still another team that's not going to make the playoffs.
It's still another team that was like just not good enough anyways, but there's not like a flashy name on the other guys' teams that is like just playing. Muncy maybe, but like he's just up and down. It's a tough one because there's just not like it would be a great year if Yelich hit like 320. He would win it with flying colors.
Yeah, right.
He's just not good right now. So like
the pandemic was not good for him. That is what threw him off. That injury isn't even what killed him. That pandemic just
he lost a year.
But he did pick it up. He was hitting the ball pretty decently for a couple weeks there, and then
he was brutal. Just chops the ball to first every time.
Well, it was funny when I was at the game on Tuesday. They loaded the bases in the ninth. Yelich came up, or it was guys on second and third, and Yelich came up and they walked him. I was like, the guy hasn't been hitting well.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember. Yeah.
So I was like, still flattered. I would still probably have done the same thing, but it was weird to see because the guy hasn't been hitting well, but.
Yeah,
and then I see Pablo Reyes coming up, and I'm like,
"Yeah, that's why. That's exactly
the best that you had."
They looked right through him.
You had every chance to replace that guy. I don't know who else was left on the bench, but I'd take anybody else but Pablo Reyes.
Not Jackie Bradley. Jackie Bradley's the worst.
That's fair.
Bad for him. He's so bad. But yeah, to give me Harper by, there's no real he's He's the best. He's the best name other than Tatis.
Yeah.
Literally.
The NL's kind of muddled. I would give it to Muncy, but I feel like the fact that the Dodgers are so deep, it just muddles him. Like there's so many other people around him who you could make a case for if you threw them on a different team.
Exactly.
But they're all together, so they kind of just cancel out.
Right.
Like they're just a supporting cast.
Every award to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
You just can't. You can't. They would love to, I'm sure, but you can't.
Oh yeah, the voters would just be like, "Oh, there's our default. Just pick one out of the hat. They'll probably work. They're so deep."
Trey Turner.
Yeah, right. Trey Turner's got 22, 23 homers this year. Where did that come from?
No, he's been good. Well, that's what happens when you get in a lineup like that. It's like who do you pitch around?
Yeah, I guess.
And he's probably seen the best pitches he's seen in his career.
Mm-hmm. It's just crazy to see a traditional leadoff hitter who you expect to put up a 340 to begin his slash line, and then he's still doing that. But I think that's his career high for homers just because of the talent around him. And you pitch around him, and then what? You hit the heart of the lineup. It's
nuts.
It's a lose-lose.
Yeah.
All right. So then we kind of grazed over this, but playoff dark horses. I mean, considering, I guess, who's getting the most attention and everything. We're on the NL now. We can stay on the NL side if you guys want, or if the AL is easier. But who's at least one team from each side that you think is going to?
I'll just do the hot take first. I'll just go way out there. Give me the Cardinals because they're the hottest team in baseball, and they got Hall of Famers. They got experience. Nobody really wants to see them, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get to the Brewers, they like their chances, I'm sure, after the last month.
Yeah.
So
my dark horse is going to be the Giants. Like you said, it's hard to believe.
Can you actually say they're a dark horse with the best record in baseball?
It's tough.
Yes, again, it's tough.
The name, yes, but the record, I don't know if you can.
I can honestly say that the Cardinals are so hot right now that they are definitely in the last month better than the Giants, where you get hot when it matters. You could be a number one seed and have done well all season, but then come into the playoffs stumbling in like the Brewers are right now and be considered a dark horse still, I think. And that's the team that I think. And again, depending on where the Brewers go when it comes to the NLCS, they're either favorites or they're dark horses. So basically right now, if things go the way I think they're going to go, it's the Giants. If not, it's the Brewers if the Dodgers beat the Giants.
And I'll throw AL. I'll throw the Blue Jays just because their lineup can hit anything as well. That lineup, just Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero. You got a Triple Crown guy in there. You got so many guys who can just smash the ball. That's how they've made their run, too. They just hit and hit and hit and hit. And Robbie Ray, possible Cy Young. So there you go.
That's true. They got some sneaky talent on there. For AL, I'll go. It's tough because I wanted to say Rays just because they're not talked about, but I can't call the team with the best record over there.
Zach didn't even know they were in first place.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe I can do that. I don't know. But if it's not,
I did it on the other side.
No one goes to their games either, so that's another thing.
Fuck it. It's
weird.
the Rays. The Rays will be mine. I don't know. There's a lot of noise over there. Or if you want to go off sheer record, I would consider the White Sox a dark horse just because they've had no competition. It kind of buffers their record right now. They don't look that good on paper, but come postseason time, I'm not shocked if they take the whole thing.
Yeah, they struggled the whole second half. That's not a bad it's not a bad one.
Otherwise, Cardinals on NL for me, just because I have no clue what's happened the last 2 weeks. But
it's crazy.
My Cubs are out of it, and it still hurts to watch. I'd rather have you guys.
I think that's a mutual thing between both of us.
Yeah, it's just you hate the Cardinals.
You look at it and you're like, not again. Please.
Yeah, no.
Not again.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess for me, the AL, I have kind of two. The Red Sox are definitely, I just think there's so much history behind there, and they like to turn it on in the playoffs, that they could be the dark horse that comes in. I mean, the route that they would have to do is they go through Tampa. Let's say Tampa is a pretender at that point in time. Red Sox could do it, but I think the Astros would be a dark horse. That's just that it's the Astros.
Everybody hates them.
Everyone hates them.
Yeah.
But that's why they're immediately just said, no, they're not making it.
Yes, you play the underdog role like them, and they kind of play that pissed off, hated team.
Yeah.
You get hot, and it's just like a screw you to the whole league, and they just 100%. Keep rolling. Yeah, I could see. 100%. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we kind of went over a few teams, but then who's a team right now you think there's a lot of talk that they're going to do well, or they've lit it up during the regular season, And we could just do one in general since we kind of covered a lot. But if you got one on each side, who's going to flake? First round, they might get knocked out in the wild card. What do you think?
Here's my question. Can we consider teams that could have a shot at the wild card?
Yeah, sure.
Make it your own.
Make it my own. Well,
It's
first
all
off,
subjective.
this is an easy one, but I'll do a playoff one also. San Diego is definitely a pretender.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's already proven.
That's proven, but that's the easy route I'm going to go.
Mess.
My other pretender, the fact that they're even in the playoffs, is Atlanta. That's easy again. They're in there just because the East is just so bad.
Yeah.
So that's just how I think of it as.
My pretender, I'm going to go with the NL, the San Francisco Giants. That might be crazy because they do have the best record in the league. I just think that team has so little playoff experience. It could be other than the old guy, like their pitching staff does not have the experience.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I was thinking the team as a whole, but yeah.
That was like the mad bum, back when they were winning all that. Their pitching staff doesn't have it. Kevin Gausman is like their best pitcher other than like Logan Webb, I believe.
Yep.
It's a good staff, but it doesn't have that experience in the playoffs.
You're right.
And I almost think that's kind of what you need. Like that's what the Dodgers have. That's even what the Cardinals have.
Oh yeah.
That's what the Brewers have it now. We've been in the playoffs so many years in a row. So that I think that could be their issue. And AL side, I don't want to say it, but the White Sox, I think, in a sense, because they've just coasted for so long. They've coasted for so long. They have a young team, another team without a lot of playoff experience, and they just haven't went up against anybody good where they've had to take it to another level. In the Central, you're playing the Indians, the Tigers, the Royals.
No longer the Indians.
Yeah, whatever they're going to be. But yeah, they're playing those teams night in, night out. And it's just like, it's not the same as Houston. Like Houston, they're going to play them in the first round. I'm afraid for that because Houston is just a whole different animal than what they've been playing all for the last.
That goes back to your playoff experience.
Yeah. And they've been there. They've cheated their way there, but they're there. They've been there. But
just to add into your Giants pick, it is also an odd year, and I believe the Giants have only won the World Series on even years.
Yeah,
there it is.
It's an odd year, so it's
what
definitely
was
not
it?
going to happen.
Like 10, 12, 14 or 12, 14, 16 or something?
I think 10,
like
12,
that,
14. No, it was not 16. I could. No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
right. Then it was 10, 12, 14.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Voodoo.
Yeah, for me, you took my NL pick pretty much. I would have to say Giants because if you're a 1 seed, which presumably they will be if everything stands the way it is, there shouldn't be 3 teams or even one on your side that I think can take you out. I think the Dodgers will handle them just off sheer experience and depth. I think the Brewers have a pretty good shot against them, and then barring how long the Cardinals stay hot, that can happen as well. That shouldn't be the case for any 1 seed, no matter what sport. I just feel like there's so much potential for them to collapse, and then I don't want to say White Sox. My heart wants me to say Houston, but judging by the amount of experience on that team, I could see it going badly. So
you could say it though because they cheated.
Fuck it, Houston.
They've never won in the playoffs without cheating.
There you go. Yeah,
there you go.
This is their revenge tour and being clean, I guess. I'll go with Houston just off the fact that they haven't won one correctly yet.
There you go.
Fair.
Yeah.
I know I called them the dark horses, but I'm also going to call them the pretenders in the Red Sox. Again, it's a wild card team. I'm staying safe with my
Can you
picks,
do that? Can you do a dark horse and pretender be the same team?
Yeah, it depends on how that wild card goes. They win it? Maybe.
If
I have to be serious.
They're a pretender if they lose because it's over. What?
Fair enough. I'm going to go with Tampa. I'm going to say they're a pretender.
Fine.
I know that, again, I'm doing the same thing I did with the Giants, but number 1 seed, I get it. But they've flown so far underneath the radar that it's still, in my eyes, just not a realistic thing.
It's fair. Yeah.
No revenge tour. Okay. Yeah. All right, so last thing we've kind of danced around it. Who do you have coming out of the AL and NL, considering everything we've said and everything that's happened so far? Who's your World Series favorites and then obviously the champion?
Tampa versus Milwaukee.
I'm going to go
Tampa
White Sox
versus
versus Milwaukee. And,
I'm going White Sox, Milwaukee. Yep.
Okay, I'd love that. But
That'd be great. Yeah.
Tampa versus Milwaukee, because Tampa has been the most consistent team in the American League for me. They've just been playing night in, night out because those big teams are chasing them. And then the Brewers, I'm taking the pitching. I'm going to just go with the pitching. And I think the Dodgers are going to go out to one of the Cardinals or the Giants. Bold prediction. Too much talent, you lost. There you go.
Again, pitching's my thing, and I think those bats will start to pick up. My hope is that Yelich is the MVP of the World Series, hopefully. But I could see Adames easily doing that if the Brewers. But it's so hard for me to say this because it's going to come off bias. I think the Brewers would beat the White Sox or Tampa between all three of our picks.
I would too. It does sound biased, but
it's not so biased for Cory, but he's
Yeah, I'm so out of the play. Like, this is one of the few times I will have no issue being objective at all. My horse was out of the race the second, whatever that date was. It's going to live in infamy where we shipped off our whole franchise. I mean, I'm just watching at this point, but yeah.
Yeah. I think it was July 30th and 31st.
Yeah. Overnight. And then
Pink
Baez was the last to go. Oh my God. Yeah.
I was going to, he's like, I'm going to tear up now.
Yeah. I'm just going to get a Tennessee Smokies jersey because that's pretty much what we are for the next 3-4 years until we get anyone relevant.
Like the Iowa Cubs too.
Or the Iowa Cubs. I'll get someone from our farm team because that's basically who's on the field right now. And I'll just go from there.
Yeah.
So who is your team to come out to win it all?
I'm going to go White Sox. Off the sheer fact that I think they're one of the few teams, other than the Dodgers, I would say, closer-wise, and the Brewers, who just have a closer that, I mean, once you get to the ninth inning, if you have the lead, the game's over.
They have Kimbrel. They have Kimbrel in the eighth, too, even though he's been trash. Right. He's been trash.
That's my only thing.
Traded to the White Sox because they have him in the eighth, and I think they should have switched. Hendricks, though, has been so good this year that they couldn't really take him out of the closer role. But Kimbrel is more of a ninth inning guy, and he's just been brutal since he's been doing
even in the ninth. The amount of times that the Brewers played the Cubs this year, in the playoffs, are a different animal.
This year with the Cubs, his ERA when they traded for him was like 0.71.
It was phenomenal. We literally shipped him out at his highest trade value, and that's one thing I'll give our organization credit for. But
it's true.
Yeah. He's kind of been a dumpster fire. So I'll say you win the first 8 innings and you win the game if you're the White Sox, and that's a pretty reassuring thing to have. But you could say 7 if Kimbrel turns into what he was 3-4 months ago.
You say the same thing for the Brewers then on the opposite side if they have the lead by 8 innings?
Yeah.
And that's why those are my 2, I would say. Jansen's good, but I feel like if you get in a bat race, it might not matter.
He is by far the best closer in baseball.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd agree. And I think that would be the most even keel World Series matchup we could probably come up with out of this is the White Sox and Brewers. Both Midwest teams, I'd be proud to see it. And
it'd be a lot of fun with the Chicago. And it's not the Chicago team I hate, but then we'd probably hate them by the end of it. But
honestly, no. Yeah. If that was like seeing the Suns, I wouldn't have been mad if the Suns beat the
But
Cubs.
It's still Chicago.
It's still Chicago, but I wouldn't have been mad if the White Sox beat the Brewers in the World Series. I'd be happy I just got to see them in the World Series.
I guess,
but, I always waited for the other shoe to fall off when it came to the Bucks, but it didn't. I mean, Keith, there were days where I had to calm you down when we were middle of the game.
Basketball is a mess for me. It's just a long haul.
Basically, we're going to flip scripts here, and it's going to be me during this playoffs with the Brewers. So it's all going to hinge on how these next 3 series go with the Brewers. Are they going to continue being this cold and this so draining?
I won't start to be nervous unless they play like crap this weekend.
Mm-hmm. They still got a handful of games left.
We should handle the Mets. And if we don't do that, then if we lose this series, then I might think a little bit. Because
it's Mets Cardinals, right? You go Mets
Cardinals, Dodgers. And the Dodgers, the last series, are going to be playing for that division title. They're going to go all out for it.
Whereas the Brewers are just chilling in second right now. But I
want it to be way over by then.
Yeah, it better be.
It has to be.
Because then you've probably lost I don't know. I don't want to throw something out there, but
Too
like
many
10 of your last 12.
Too many numbers.
As of right now, we are 3-7 in our last 10 games with a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah, you better whoop the Mets. Otherwise, I mean, that's your only.
Not ideal.
I mean, yeah, I'm trying to. As of right now, the Dodgers are a game back in the West.
Yeah, it's going to go to the last
It's
game,
right there. I didn't realize how. Jesus, San Diego fell 21 games back.
I said that team is a joke.
I don't pay much attention to the other divisions.
Imagine spending that much money on your pitching staff that they did, and they've just been awful.
Yeah. To be 2 games away from 500, 77 and 75, that's
biggest disaster in baseball this year.
Fire the front office.
Not even close.
You just dumped your whole wallet for a subpar season.
Honestly, you could make the argument that Philadelphia or not the Mets would have been the next, because the Mets were one of the favorites to have not only an MVP, Triple Crown player, but to come out of the NL in general to be part of the World Series and to be 73 and 79 and have traded for arguably one of the best defensive shortstops in the game. That's
a joke. Yeah, that's bad. The Mets. That is what the Mets do, though.
Yes, that's
you
fair.
Expected anything else, you're crazy. And they got Javi Baez, who just swings at everything.
Yeah,
he is the modern day Carlos Gomez, and I love saying that because we dealt with it so long, seeing Gomez swing for the fence. I don't know how many times that.
He retired as a Brewer today.
Was it today? I thought it was a couple weeks ago.
Today. Yeah, he just did it today.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
It looks like Eric Thames is turning into the Brandon Jennings of the Brewers.
Oh, God.
He showed up for a game.
Both have nothing better to do, so that's cool.
That's fair.
Yeah, he'll be the prophet child. He'll say Brewers in 6, and they'll do it. No,
yeah. There's one more thing I want to bring up. I want the Brewers to develop their own Deer District, but it be called the Beer District. I think it'd be super cool.
Where would you put it? In the Deer District?
I have no idea. Just find somewhere, build it somewhere. I think it'd be super cool to have something like that.
I thought about doing it, do it in the Deer District, but I don't know if you can in the playoffs because the Bucks season does start in the middle of it.
That's true.
That's true. It's going to be such a quick turnaround this year.
Isn't it every year?
I suppose, yeah. It just seems like it because the Bucks actually went that far this year. You know what I mean?
The finals were the latest they've ever been. It's usually the beginning of June, but it was like COVID year.
Wait, right? Yeah, okay. So it is.
Now this year is back to
because it didn't technically start till December, right?
Yeah,
right.
This year is back to normal for the first time.
Okay, I'm not crazy. I thought they got pushed back a little bit, so it will be a weird turnaround.
But even usually after the finals, our summer league starts up right after that, so you never really get rid of basketball. There's always a basketball highlight during summer, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, they're releasing the Christmas schedule, the first day of the first game of the season, which I'm happy the Bucks are getting some love because I figured they wouldn't have even with winning a championship.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I almost wish it was a longer off season just so we could celebrate that. But that's
right
baseball time. But yeah. All right.
Well, I think that's all we had for topics. Thank you guys for coming on. I think that was a pretty good episode.
Did good. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Go Brewers.
For sure. So for everybody watching, make sure you follow the Davis Sports Feud on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Make sure you look at us live. Otherwise, if you're not here live, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, follow on Spotify.
This has a TikTok?
They have a TikTok. Yep.
What goes on a TikTok?
There's like 2 of them. One's a NFC South reaction, and then what was the other one? I don't remember. Somebody was getting roasted though. I don't know. It was T-Bone was like ranting about something, but it got like 600 views. So so it's follow the TikTok.
I'm not on TikTok, but you guys.
No, you're good. I remember Kyle.
Don't download it. You're gonna get addicted.
Like, all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't download it.
Yeah.
I literally sit there at work and just scroll through all day.
This is a trap. Yeah, no.
All right.
Well, that's everything for the Davis Sports View. Thank you so much for everybody listening. Make sure you follow on all the social medias except the TikTok. No, I'm just kidding. Follow the TikTok if you have TikTok. Otherwise, nobody here is encouraging you to install it. No, I'm just kidding. But everybody else, have a good day, and we'll see you back on Tuesday.
Thanks.
Says Wesley Matthews Jr. over. What's going on, guys? And we're back with the Davis Sports Feud, and I got my buddy Cory Sparks here.
Crossed up, definitely pushed by Paul George, but everything's a push these days.
I just don't think this offense is going to work very well, especially under a defensive coach like Robert.
But I would still probably take like Najee Harris over one of the wide receivers.